Well, here we are, the 21st day of January 2009. We're now 24 hours into our great new furor, literally a coronation. Even mainstream media was calling it a royal coronation, and that Obama somehow was king, savior of the world. I mean, they're even using terms like that. A one-term, less than one-term senator. And when you look at his policies, it's a New World Order nightmare with Henry Kissinger and others on TV going, his image in the world is so great, we'll be able to get a New World Order through with him. And then if you look at what a New World Order is, it's really bad. So here I am doing a number 5 audio blog from the car as I drive into the radio studio. But the reason I'm doing this particular talk is not about Obama. I'm going to do that on air today and in future audio blogs for the websites Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. The reason I'm going over this today, well, the issue I'm dealing with today is the banker takeover. It's improper to call it the banker bailout. It was the imperial coronation of the private central banks, not your mainstream bank, as above the law, totally secret, and able to steal an infinity of, it's not even money, it's zeros and ones, it's numbers on a computer. They can just put the number Googleplex in there. They can put the number in there, 500 billion quadrillion. They can put the number in there infinity. They can do whatever they want. And they just tell Congress, well, it's 8.5 trillion, but we won't tell you where it went. And then that was 5 weeks ago, and I can't wait to find out how much they've stolen in the last 5 weeks. If in 7 weeks they stole 8.5 trillion, my God. Can you imagine in 5 weeks what they've done? And I keep harping on that. The issue, the most important point I want to make and be clear here with, that we need to get the word out to everybody on, is we see Bank of America laying off people and Chase Manhattan, Citibank. Then we see Northern Rock and European British banks and all this, quote, trouble and laying people off. And folks say, oh, the banking system really is in crisis. The elite really is in crisis. They're in trouble. Well, number one, almost 3 years ago, hard to believe time's flying like that, in Bilderberg in 2006, we had inside sources, and we went on the radio with live reports from Canada, and we went on the radio live on Coast to Coast, and we posted videos right when we got back with interviews with Daniel Estelin, with his sources inside the elite meeting, and I put it in the extras of my film Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, which has been out for a year and a half. So it's on record that we came out with the information we had and said the elite are planning to pop the subprime mortgage bubble and cause a banking collapse to consolidate power. No one else called it. We did, but we didn't call it. If you're out there cleaning up a fence row and hear 2 bank robbers on the other side planning their next heist, and you call the police and they go to their hideout and bust them, you're not psychic. You don't have a crystal ball. You're not magic. You were sitting on the other side of the fence row and overheard them talking about their next bank robbery and where their hideout was with the loot. Same thing here. And then, of course, our claims of having these sources from multiple angles inside Now Bilderberg was verified by exactly what we said, precisely what we said happening. And then I can go through the Financial Times of London and Henry Kissinger on CNBC and Newsweek magazine a few months ago when they had that Bretton Woods tube. And then they said, well, it's all secret what we said inside. But we've already seen what the white papers were previously. They call this a great opportunity, this crisis. When you read deeper into their own publications, and even some mainstream publications, they admit, the super banks or the private shareholders in the private central banks, they're going to consolidate the majority of the thousands of independent banks and institutions and insurance companies that the central banks themselves loaned money to. But the money the central banks had to loan had supposed value, these zeros and ones on a computer, because they're backed up by the credit and faith of the American people and the huge imperial military and also the people of Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and now China and Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and others. So this is a massive war. This is a massive economic war against the nouveau riche, new elite, a war between even mega elites. And through the crisis they create, while they're consolidating, they scare the public into submission to saying, okay, we'll do whatever you say, just fix the problems, just get me some jobs, make sure the terrorists don't get me, keep me safe. And so that's it. I'm seeing some of the public, and I'm getting some emails going, well, Alex, if the banks are engineering this, why are the banks announcing that they've had profit loss? Well, number one, Hollywood movie production companies hardly ever announce that they've made a profit. They pay their executives, they pay their shareholders, their dividends. They create new dummy corporations all the time. And most major Fortune 500 media companies, but also Goldman Sachs, it came out this year, they paid 1% federal tax. Timothy Geithner, the new Treasury Secretary, about to be confirmed, he pays nothing, and he doesn't care. They're all above the law. 65% of Congress plus doesn't pay taxes because they're above the law. But I'm digressing here, and I'm about to get to the office. It just needs to be crystal clear here that this is completely and totally contrived, and the big families that own the large foundations that made their money tax-free in the last 100 years to protect their own wealth, and the Gateses just did it 5 years ago. I guess 10, 11 years ago, Ted Turner did it. And if you look at the paperwork carefully, you notice that he funds the UN, the $1.5 billion he's given so far, off the interest on his multi-billion-dollar trust, which is a charitable trust. So you hear in the media owned by him, and on the cover of Time magazine,